So, okay. So kita akan teruskan kepada session kita yang seterusnya. Saya nak menjemput Special VM Encik Malik untuk perkongsian beliau. For life, for all. Ni sebenarnya minggu lepas dia ada buat satu perkongsian part 1. Kali ni part 2 pula. InsyaAllah. Dipersilakan.
Not sure. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can everyone see the screen?
Waalaikumsalam. Boleh.
Okay, so I'll begin. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Malik here again, husband of Nina Melinda, that seasoned, battle-hardened stronghold veteran, I think known to most people here tonight, this evening, as someone who has perhaps faithfully forged a path to significant success over many years, whilst also serving as a wife, a mother, and a dutiful daughter, committed to loving, caring for, correcting, building, and connecting an assorted selection of diverse and dubious souls, endearingly known as her family. And someone too who finally persuaded me to follow in her footsteps a year or so ago and play catch up as she devised a strategic plan of action to make a final push for Diamond. So inshallah, success will soon be hers, this year perhaps, inshallah. And should that be so, I will stand proudly by her side and applaud her mighty achievement. That being said, I will direct you now to this evening's topic of address that you see on screen. You may or may not remember, for those of you who were here, but last week I did talk about the importance of health. And I defined that word to mean or to encompass the physical, the mental, the emotional, the intellectual, and the spiritual facets of man, of each and every one of us. However, I did add another facet to that list: financial health. For in my estimation, this too is an integral component of everyday health, in every sense, and cannot therefore be casually dismissed, denied, or overlooked. Indeed, sekejap, I'm going to change the slide. Did it come up?
Yes.
Okay, it came up. Okay, because I had two computers, sorry. So anyway, I'm pretty certain that pretty much everyone here is probably more than familiar to one degree or another with how incredibly sickening it can be to be short of a penny or two, or a ringgit or more, especially when that money is required or needed for something urgent or someone important in our life. The nagging worry or anxiety of not having enough or not having what you need at that critical time being clearly expressed or felt in the physical, in the emotional, the mental, or even the spiritual aspects of our being. Sometimes as a heartfelt sigh, sometimes as a silent fear, or a frightful frown on our brow, or a humbling fear, sometimes as a screaming complaint, sometimes a candid dua, or sometimes perhaps just a patient restraint, holding on to a hungry hope. This is how we as humans typically deal with those days when less than we need is all that we have, at a time when more would be welcome and good. This pain is real, the suffering felt deep in our hearts. And while yes, money isn't everything, it does and can offer a powerful helping hand that comforts, and alleviates all manner of burdens that otherwise weigh heavily on our souls. With it, our emotions become more balanced, our outlook more positive, our hopes more real, and our sense of purpose more spirited. Well-being is rebooted and restored to a calmer, far more harmonious state. Better yet, when there is an abundance, it can be shared for all to feel its benefit, and we can draw strength from the leverage it lends. After all, prosperity Islamically should always be shared, and people empowered with a bounty of financial health should do right, should they not, with the wealth of blessings they have been given by doing right by all. But this, however, I think is another subject for another day. So I'll just make a brief mention of it here. Therefore, in light of these painful financial periods I'm making mention of, just described, when we sometimes feel helpless or in need of help, yet uncertain when and where it may manifest, I offer this evening to one and all a potential solution to effectively neutralize such discomforting worries and woes. The answer is straightforward and simple, and I'm guessing that most of you will already have understood what that is. Stronghold business. Stronghold business is a trusted, a tried, a tested, and therefore viable business opportunity for everyday people, business-minded or not, business-savvy or not, to build a financially healthy and prosperous future for themselves, for their families, founded on a working model that is truly substantial, highly scalable, and very, very sustainable. Now, before I outline the shape of such a life-changing possibility, I'd like to dive, if I may, a little deeper into the economic issues of the day that are, for many, a genuine and pressing cause for financial concern. This, I feel, is necessary because for all the benefits I can list to make a compelling case for Stronghold as a uniquely outstanding business opportunity, the points we put forth may fall on deaf ears if, when we are talking to someone else, if we do not provide a supporting context that is relevant to those we approach or those we wish to engage. Context is king. We must ensure we articulate our perspective with insights that reflect the kind of realities anyone and everyone can easily recognize and understand. If what we share is not appealing in that regard, then we should not be surprised if it fails to persuade even a single soul. After all, life is nuanced, and circumstances from one person to the next do differ. But common sense, coupled with a powerful affirmation of real-world woes, punches very, very hard. So let's begin with the first point. Currently, the job market. Presently, the unemployment rate in Malaysia is considered moderately high for a developing economy. As of March 2023, it was 4.3%, and even higher for young people and those with no academic qualification beyond a primary education, measuring 13.7% and 6.8% respectively. Now, whilst employment rates among the young do tend to be higher than general in many countries, due to a lack of experience, mismatched skills, and intense competition for entry-level positions, rates for other demographic groups, the people, the younger people, and those without primary education, suggest a need for targeted intervention to address social and economic inequalities. Now, the economists would typically advise perhaps something like educational reform, skill development programs, or specific initiatives to boost employment opportunities for work, and even entrepreneurship to mitigate these job market challenges. But these are the kind of solutions that are not something that can be implemented in the now. These are for future times, for future generations. They will take too long to implement, and for those people in need of jobs now, they are not going to be effective solutions. Therefore, Contrary to what the economists are advising, we can advise or suggest or open up a conversation to people we know in these such circumstances, talk about shuanghuo. And there are many reasons to go into a conversation with such people, as I will now elaborate further, in the sense that the economy has a lot more depressing news to bring alone. And thus we want to reinforce and bolster our argument with more points to make it clear that we're offering something that is considered as a serious solution to help them escape the current financial ill health that they may or may not be suffering. So take wages, for example. In Malaysia, the minimum wage amounts to around 1,200 ringgit per month, which is, in the Klang Valley at least, very insufficient to cover the basic cost of everyday living, the basic necessities such as food, accommodation and transportation. It's going to be very difficult for a single person living in the Klang Valley to survive on that small amount. In fact, according to research, a single person in the Klang Valley needs at least 2,000 ringgit per month to survive. And even though the government, we know, has recently mandated a minimum wage be raised to 1,500 ringgit per month, even this sum falls short of what people need. And remember, we are talking about the monthly expenses here of just one person. So should they be married and have children to care for too, you can imagine the kind of difficulties they will be facing. So we have employment opportunities are lacking. We have the fact that the minimum wage is very, very little. We can add a third point here, is the perennial issue of rising prices, even for the most essential goods and services. So the consumer price index in 2003 was reported to be around 3%. The price of food having increased by 3.2% over the course of the last year, and the price of transportation 2.5%. So these are the basic items. Of course, there's lots of other things which will have risen by maybe even more money, or a higher percentage rather. So while it was reported in the media that wage rises of at least 5% were projected for 2023, this, even if it was proven to be the case, means that those who are already struggling will continue to struggle, because 5% is not much of a difference between the 3.3% of the consumer price index. And those who are managing to survive on a bare minimum will continue to manage only on next to nothing. And even if we consider momentarily that the wages rose by 10% or 20%, how much difference would that percentage actually make to the life of an everyday person, especially those people with families? It's not a significant life-changing percentage, and certainly not an indicator of genuine or meaningful financial growth as they struggle to survive each and every day. Now let's add another statistic into the mix, just to keep the process going and keep building, adding substance to the context here. So this one relates to failing businesses. While it is a known and accepted fact that businesses fail all the time across the world, especially new businesses, research reveals that the number of bankruptcies in Malaysia, as of, I think, 2022 is the latest figures, there were as many as 2,000 businesses which filed for bankruptcy. Now, this might not sound like a lot, okay? But when you translate 2,000 companies closing into job losses, the figures become far, far more alarming. It is estimated that those 2,000 closures in 2022 alone resulted in the loss of 100,000 jobs. Okay, so you can imagine over 100,000 people are losing a monthly income. How many of those were supporting dependents? I don't know, but you can see the size of the problem when we are dependent upon others to feed ourselves and our families. All the more so when we realize that the rate of debt in Malaysian households is very, very high. The average household debt is 100,000, with an average monthly repayment of 1,000 ringgit to the banks. Hence, many of those already struggling to survive on a basic income, whilst also being obligated to the banks each and every month, will certainly struggle to save even a single cent, which will, when problems appear, as they often do, and by that I mean financial problems, give rise to that financial pain we've talked about earlier. and the suffering we made mention of earlier too. This lack of financial health is also reflected in a grave and widespread lack of EPF savings. Money supposedly put aside for the day when folk get to rest after a lifetime of slaving and live off what they have saved. Unfortunately for many, this may not turn out to be true if steps are not taken now whilst they're still young, strong and relatively healthy to completely rethink their financial future. If you look at the figures, these are from the government, from the KWSP themselves. 51.5% of EPF members under 55 presently have savings below 10,000 ringgit. That's 6.67 million people. That means over half of working Malaysians under the age of 55 do not have enough savings in the EPF account to cover basic living expenses. Moreover, 5.1 million of those people, 76% of that number, of that 6.767 million, 5.1 million of those people are Bumiputra, which means that the Bumiputra are disproportionately affected by a dire lack of savings for the future, meaning they risk financial pain and hardship. But the whole point of this presentation is to show you that there are lots of problems, but the problem always reveals the solution. And the solution, we've touched upon it earlier, and we'll go to embellish as to why that is a positive solution, to engage people in a discussion about the possibilities to avoid and avert financial risk and financial pain in their future. So these challenges that I have outlined here in brief are real, and they are affecting everyday people everywhere as we speak right now. Okay, so as I said, I don't want to go further into these numbers and statistics. I think the picture that has been painted is quite clear, which is that many Malaysians are facing a very, very dark reality. And given the way that the world is turning of late, things may get even worse. And even if they don't, solutions still need to be found, and they need to be found now before these people age and find themselves in very, very difficult situation. So obviously, many know this, that the people out there, they know this, and they know they need to do something, but perhaps they remain uncertain of how to escape the situation they find themselves in. Many will at least listen, I guess, if you open up this conversation with them. And when you speak to them about a possible way out, they're going to say, this is interesting, maybe I'd like to know more. Now, whether they see the learning curve for change, once you've explained a little bit, if they see the learning curve for change is too high, or they have expectations of finding something less challenging, or they are not interested whatsoever for whatever reason, we shouldn't worry. If we go into a conversation and we share it sincerely, as Sronghorians, sharing what we believe in as sincerely as we possibly can, no more, no less, delivering a complete, comprehensive, cohesive and cogent message in a language they understand, using facts and figures to back up what we say, that represent these real-world truths that we've touched upon just now, then that is all we need to do. That is enough. That's a job well done, because we all understand and we all know that the outcome is not in our hands. These people may reconsider. They may decide they'd like to listen again. They may have questions they'd like to ask at a time. Perhaps on that particular day, they were distracted by some other issue and were not fully able to concentrate on what was said and digest the message that was communicated to them. No matter, this is life, and everyone is entitled to their point of view, and our thoughts on the outcome count for little if they do have a different perspective or think that better opportunities lie elsewhere. But I think this is interesting. This is something it'd be nice to weave into the conversation too, if time allows, when you're talking to these people, ask them to consider this, because this kind of really consolidates the argument we put forth when we talk about Shrongho and help giving people a way out of the financial dilemma or the financial pain in which they find themselves. So we could say, for example, maybe there is a company out there somewhere in the world that they know of, like Shrongho, that has been in business Asia-wide for 40 years, that has established a sound reputation for having integrity, high integrity, transparency, and accountability. Maybe there's a company that has worked within all the differing legal and regulatory frameworks without issue, without controversy, without complaint. Maybe there's a company that researches, develops and manufactures proprietary products for healthy living in compliance with internationally recognized standards and practices. Maybe there's a company they know of that has independent third-party product accreditations, holds numerous patents, and has been awarded a global equivalent of GLP certification. That also continues to invest in class-leading R&D, that offers all of this and more to regular, everyday people such as us for absolutely nothing other than a membership fee, and even that now I think we know is free. So no licensing or franchising costs, no loyalty payments, no mandatory bulk stock purchases, no logistics costs, no warehousing costs, no operational overheads, no rental or utility expenses, no R&D costs, no manufacturing costs, no employee-related expenses, no regulatory fees, no legal fees, no credit lines, no loans, and no debt repayments. Maybe there's a company, but highly unlikely, given the fact that many diamonds who went before us, the pioneers, have openly declared that they have yet to come across another company quite like Shuangho. And given the level of success that they have achieved, I think it wise we listen to what they have to say on this matter. So in light of this inspirational revelation, hang on, sorry, I've got out of my slides are way back. Sorry, I forgot all about my slides. Never mind. Apologies. So in light of this inspirational revelation, we shouldn't say that the future is dark when we talk to people, or even to ourselves. We shouldn't say that it's unknown or difficult to navigate. We need to look fear in the face and demand it move aside, because goals await, and we are already too late. After all, Shuangho has done all of the groundwork for us, laid a foundation so strong, so stable, that it has supported the rise of countless diamonds over the years and never wobbled once. So why should we? So if this is the sign you've been looking for, to move, to soar, to fly, then all you need to do, all we need to do, is to build the future we envision upon it, shaping it as we see fit to meet our needs, to match our dreams, trusting fully in the framework, in the system, in the leadership, in ourselves, believing fully that the outcome we are hopeful of will, without a doubt, be the outcome we achieve. Stop dreaming, start doing, build a future-ready mindset, define a primary purpose, align action with expectations. Let's roll every excuse we have, big and small alike, into a ball and kick them all into the trash. We may also like to include outdated ideas, bad habits, unfounded fears, labels we'd rather not bear anymore, and as much ego as we possibly can. Act and react at pace, always mindful of the fact that we can succeed and will succeed if we believe we can. We have the freedom to choose. The future is in our hands. And with that, I wish everyone here all the best with the choices they make to move fast forward in 2024. Happy year ahead. Go diamond, go beyond, go now. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, terima kasih banyak-banyak kepada kita punya special vice manager Encik Malik atas perkongsian beliau. Ya, ada siapa cakap ke? Okay, saya cuba simpulkan sikit apa yang Encik Malik kongsikan dengan kita tadi tentang apa yang Shuangho boleh bagi, peluang yang Shuangho boleh bagi, iaitu kesihatan kewangan, financial health kita. Macam tadi kita punya special VM ada katakan kita punya banyak orang kita kena tolong sebenarnya. Ramai sangat orang yang tak ada kerja sekarang ni, budak-budak muda yang tak ada kerja. Dan orang-orang yang bekerja pun sekarang ni dia punya gaji pun sebenarnya tak cukup nak menampung, especially kalau dia dah ada family yang ramai. Harga-harga barang pun dah naik. Ada dia mention tentang EPF saving sekarang ni, walaupun orang menyimpan masih tak cukup juga untuk kita survive dengan kita punya duit EPF. Jadi poin-poin ni kita boleh gunakan bila kita berkongsi dengan orang, okay, selain kita berkongsi tentang nikmat kesihatan tu, kita kongsi tentang nikmat macam mana kita boleh bantu bantu mereka semua untuk keluar daripada dilema kewangan. Okay, saya nak jemput double kita, Puan Riza untuk kata sesuatu perkongsian kita semua. Kita silakan.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Dengar tak?
Dengar.
Okay. This meeting, tonight's meeting is really very inspiring, especially our special VM Encik Malik. Oh, great. I feel like I just joined Shuanghu, imagine, full of drive, full of hope, and I hope all of you feel the same way. Semua rasa yang sama. Jangan fikir apa dah, jangan pandang kiri kanan dah. This business is real. Masalah-masalah yang dia sebut tadi is real. Sama ada kita genggam dan terus buat ataupun kita akan ketinggalan, kita akan tercicir. So Nabilah punya testimony pun is very strong. Tak payah nak fikir dah. Memang Allah nak sembuhkan, Allah akan buat. Jadi kita ikhtiar semampu boleh. My tagline is selagi bernyawa, selagi tu wajib ikhtiar. Tak kiralah apa, sama ada kemampuan atau tidak. But yang penting ialah Shuanghu is time tested. Sebab kata Encik Malik tadi, saya dah buat dah masuk 32 tahun. Saya belum jumpa lagi satu syarikat yang tak kata lebih baik daripada Shuanghu lah. Yang sama dengan Shuanghu pun saya tak jumpa. So kalau gitu, you all tak payahlah nak cari lagi 31 tahun untuk another company. Alright? Just stay here. Okay? And buang apa-apa ego. Okay, unlearn apa yang kita dah ni and relearn, insyaAllah. Shuanghu is very transparent. Just buat the 111 plan, buat the 3x7, implement and ikut especially siapa yang ikut NLPR itu, the passport to success, it is there for you. So tepuk dada, tanya hati. I wish you all the best. Take good care of your own health, your family's health, your loved ones, and also your spiritual health, your financial health, your emotional health. InsyaAllah semua dah bungkus cantik dah. Bungkusan Shuanghu sangat-sangat cantik. We are all blessed, we are all privileged. Okay, so jangan buang peluang ini. So that's all I can say. Thank you so much.
Okay, terima kasih Aunty Liza. Saya panggil Aunty Liza lah. Saya rasa Alhamdulillah, okay, kita punya first online sharing pada tahun baru, tahun 2024 berjalan dengan smooth, insyaAllah. So saya nak minta semua orang yang bersedia, kita nak ambil gambar kejap boleh? Onkan kamera. Dan kita minta ayah tolong ambilkan gambar lah. Boleh?
Okay, ready Kalau dia tunjuk produk sikit. Okay, kalau tak ada produk tak apa. Okay, ready. 1, 2. Alright. Okay.
Okay, terima kasih semua. Kalau ada apa-apa soalan boleh tanya ataupun refer pada upline. Nanti insyaAllah kita punya meeting ni ada rakaman, saya akan upload pada YouTube saya lah. Nanti bila dah upload nanti saya akan sharekan link. Okay? So Assalamualaikum, terima kasih, selamat malam.